Guten Tag. Willkommen.
Hey there, what's up?
Hey. Glad we can all hear each other now. Oh, how's your day, Dane?
Well, my day is just starting and it's been excellent so far.
Well, lucky you. You have all this day to look forward to. My day's just ending and I am exhausted.
Sounds perfect.
I think that's the way it should be. If you don't do any work during the day, what'd you do? All right. So, what do you want to talk about today, Dane?
Well, I thought you were gonna introduce us and bring up a topic.
Oh, okay. No problem. So, you sent me a list of topics earlier and went over the thing, and I said, you know what? This would be a good one to knock out. Can you practice martial energetics if you don't believe in energy?
Energy. Well, I guess first we'd need to define what we mean by energy, wouldn't we? But
Definitely.
it's kind of a giveaway. The name martial energetics kind of refers to energy. So really we need to know what we're talking about if we're talking about energy. And in there's the physics definition, there's the colloquial definition, and in internal martial arts, there's internal martial arts also has its own special kind of definition of energy, also known as chi or life force energy. Um,
I think it's gi in Korean.
yes, there's different traditions and different labels, and honestly, I think a lot of people have different understandings of what this means. Um, so so I thought it would be helpful to clarify. I think it would be helpful to clarify what we mean by energy in martial energetics, how we use the term, and also the way you put the question. If do you have to believe in it? Is this really something that you? It's a matter of belief. You either believe in it or you don't. Um, so um, I guess I'd say that on the basic level, martial energetics is a system that draws from the wisdom of the ancient internal traditions, but is also grounded in modern day science. So we use energy and martial energetics in the modern scientific sense of the ability to do work or the potential to do work. And there's many different kinds of energy. There's kinetic energy, there's chemical energy, there's thermal energy, there's sound energy, light energy. Um, Energy really there's a saying that there's only one thing in the universe, uh, or everything is one thing and it's energy. And according to Einstein, even matter is also energy.
Yes.
So I don't consider energy to really be something that you either believe in or you don't. It exists, whether you believe in it or not, and it's there. Um, and I would say that's the most if that's if that's your understanding and your basis for what energy is, just this sort of physical scientific definition of energy, I would say that's fine. That's good enough. That's a perfectly legitimate understanding of energy in the context of practicing martial energetics or internal martial arts in general. You don't have to subscribe to a particular spiritual or metaphysical belief system in order to work with this concept. Um, if you practice internal martial arts, however, that fundamentally means that you are working with the three regulations: body regulation, breath regulation, and mind regulation. And in martial energetics, that means that you are cultivating or developing the six qualities. We talked previously about the six qualities of universal performance enhancement, and that's what the six qualities are. And one of the six qualities is sensitivity, and particularly sensitivity to internal sensations, to what's going on inside your body. And the more you pay attention to internal sensations, the more you become aware of, the more sensitive you become. And you start to notice certain things that you might not have been aware of before. I actually find it a drawback to a lot of traditional Tai Chi and Qigong training that I've seen, that they invoke from the very beginning a visualization, visualizing certain things, often visualizing energy. Like imagine golden light coming down from heaven and
That's how they learn.
moving through your meridians and that sort of thing.
I was recently, and that's how they were teaching it. They were talking about the different colors of the energy, how the energy should feel as like a light, cool blue versus a gold. So yeah, there is this very getting into lots of specific data points that this one idea of energy has. These like the what's it called? The Hindu tradition, the where you have
Prana.
the chakras and the prana, and depending on which chakra is absorbing the prana, it's a different color, to be like a counterbalance to that chakra. There's a lot of fun stuff there. But I know what you mean. There's lots of different ways to interpret energy. And the thing I really always found was a great one that just clicked for me was the Japanese explained it to me as ki, which is the same character used in Chinese. And what they said is just, it's your air. It's your air. If you have no air, you have no energy. So when you do that explosive technique, if you are already empty, completely devoid of air, and you do a throwing all your energy into one strike, you got nothing, because you have to have your air, and your air is your energy.
Yeah, that's a good point. Actually, in Chinese, qi means life force energy, and it also means breath or air.
Yes.
And this is actually very similar to the origin of the word spirit, from Latin, espiritus. It means breath or air. We actually have this same tradition in the West that, for example, inspire, inspiration, respiration all come from the same source. That means both spirit as well as air. So that's a really profound connection that you're onto there. And of course, air, the oxygen in air is what our body uses to generate energy, to turn our we make bioenergy from food and air. Mm-hmm. And that's a process. It's kind of like a slow form of combustion, if you want to talk about the well,
it's very fast. Go down to the cellular level.
What did you say?
That combustion's very fast at the mitochondria level. It's just going. Those little things are burning, they're churning, making that little heat energy. That's why you always feel a little hot. It's because your cells are burning just like everything else burns.
It's an exothermic oxidation. It's an exothermic organic oxidation reaction, which means that just like fire, your body is combining oxygen with fuel and generating heat, among other types of energy. So
Yeah.
The same way that a fuel or that a fire needs fuel and it needs air, our body works the same way. We need fuel and we need air. Where I was going with the idea of visualization in a lot of Tai Chi and Qigong instruction, the student is introduced from the very beginning with visualization, visualizing energy. And I find that a little bit problematic, because the way I look at it is visualizing is another word for imagination, which is not the same thing as sensation. And there's depending on what the goals of your practice are, there are certain effects. I think this is where this comes from, is that if you do visualize certain things, if you visualize energy flowing from the heaven to the earth through your body, or if you visualize different colors, for example, it does have certain effects on your mind-body energy system. And there's certainly a lot to be gained from these sort of traditional practices that have been handed down. But what I find to be problematic is that for a beginner, often, and I think a lot of people have this as a stumbling block and feel like they don't really get it, is that if you don't have the sensitivity to feel what's going on internally, then imagining that you're feeling your chi, for example, isn't a lot of good. Because you're not supposed to be imagining that you feel your chi, you're supposed to be feeling your chi. And the imagination can kind of lead you down a dead end if you don't have the sensitivity to really feel what's happening. So that's why we put the primary focus on sensitivity as opposed to imagination or visualization. And when you not, which is not to say that once you have that sensitivity that you can then experiment with different types of visualization and what effect that has on your system. So if you don't believe in energy in the sense, and you're just like closed-minded and you think this is all a bunch of bullshit, well, you're no not going to really be able to progress very far, because sensitivity.
I disagree. Believing in energy is just this weird thing that you can do or you cannot do. As long as you understand the training and your coach is saying, hey, understand that use your breath when you do your strikes, drop your weight properly, sync yourself, align your spine. You don't need to tell the coach, doesn't need to say, oh, well, this is aligning the chi meridians, and this is going to enable your body to deliver the power properly. You don't need to go that far. You just say, just do that. And then when they get good enough to understand what that's doing, then they'll come back to you and be like, hey, what is this energy stuff you're talking about? What do you mean when you say that?
You're getting ahead of me. Listen to what I said. If you don't believe in energy in the sense that you're closed-minded and you just think all of this is bullshit, if you disbelieve, if in the sense that you're closed-minded, you're probably not going to progress very far.
Okay.
I'm making the distinction between disbelief and not having a belief. Disbelief is a type of belief.
Okay, I see you're trying to get into like that whole agnostic.
No, I'm not. I'm really making a simple distinction. I'm just saying, if you don't have a belief, you can work with and develop your sensitivity. But if you have an active disbelief, then that is going to get in the way. That's what I'm saying. Okay.
So let me ask you this question then. with your students, how do you, what kind of exercises do you do to show people that this energy we're talking about is not something that is just out there, that we can just, I can do a few breathing exercises with you, I can do a few motions with you, and I can make you feel that energy that I'm talking about. The bioelectric magnetic human energy field is always there. We can feel it very easily. So what kind of exercises do you teach?
Well, so it's actually that's actually not quite the approach that I take either. But first of all, I just want to clarify this point. The point I was making is that the question is, do you have to believe in energy? And I'm giving the answer that no, you don't have to believe in energy. But just to, as an aside, for completeness, if you have a disbelief, if you're closed-minded, if it's something that you have already decided does not exist and is all bullshit, well, that is going to. So I mean, if you have that belief, you're probably not even going to get into these kind of practices in the first place. That's what I'm saying. That kind of person is probably not going to progress very far with this because they think it's all bullshit. That's just an aside. That's not the main thrust of where I'm going. That's just an aside.
That's fine.
But you do not have to have a metaphysical belief system in order to develop your sensitivity and to become more and more aware. I'm saying that you don't have to have a belief. An act of disbelief might get in your way, but I mean, if you approach with the attitude of like a skeptic and you're out to disprove whatever, well, you'll succeed. And that's just an aside. You don't have to have a belief in order to do the practice and develop your sensitivity. Great. So, and that's kind of to go along with the idea that imagining and visualizing won't really help you either, because imagination is not the same thing as sensitivity. So what the progression that arises naturally is you begin to develop your sensitivity by paying attention to internal sensations. And at first, you can feel the more gross sensations easily, the more gross types of energy. You can feel kinetic energy in your body. You can feel your body moving. You can feel muscular tension and contraction. As your sensitivity develops, over time, you start to become more aware of the more subtle energetic sensations inside your body, just as a natural progression of that. So it doesn't really help to strain. And there's a very common beginner conundrum in Tai Chi or in Qigong. It's like, I'm not really sure if I'm feeling my Qi or not. Is that my Qi? Or I don't know. I don't know what it feels like. I think maybe I'm feeling it, but I'm not sure. That's a sign that you're kind of straining to feel something, or you're straining, or you're visualizing, because visualizing is the same thing as sensing. So for somebody who
same problem with meditation, a lot of people are like, "Oh, I'm just doing it. Am I doing it right? I don't know if I'm doing it." And it's like, dude,
yeah,
do it. That's all you're doing it by doing it. It's like, what does that mean? Just do it.
So as you develop your sensitivity, you'll become more aware, and you'll start to notice more subtle sensations that you'll actually realize have been there all along. You just hadn't noticed them. They're not really new, and that way you develop you're sensitive, and you develop a sense of certainty about it. So you don't have to have a pre-existing belief, and you don't have to imagine or visualize what's going on. You just have to pay attention to what's going on inside your body, engage the 3 regulations, develop the 6 qualities. What happened for me in this regard was I was practicing external martial arts for about 12 years, starting as a kid. And then when I began practicing internal martial arts, my Sifu was a guy who didn't really talk about chi or energy very much. It was pretty physical, concrete stuff that we would deal with. But I still remember this moment when I was practicing on my own. I was doing some qigong, and I was feeling this sensation that I was noticing more and more, and it clarified over time. And at one point, it became really strong, and it suddenly I realized, that's what they're talking about when they talk about chi. I feel it. Oh, that's what it is. That's what I've always heard about. Nobody pointed it out to me and said, do this and you'll be able to feel such and such. I just realized that I was feeling this sensation that was obviously what I had always heard referred to as chi. And I went, oh, that's what it is. That's what they're talking about. So I take a similar approach. If you and I both have that kinesthetic reference point, and we know what we mean when we say chi, then it's useful for us to talk in those terms. And that's a big if, because even, there's a lot of variety in what people understand that to mean, even people who do think they know what they're talking about. But if we both know what we're talking about, if we're using the term in the same way, then it's useful terminology to use. But if we don't have the same understanding of what it means, then it only creates confusion, and it's not useful for dialogue and for learning. So with beginners, I don't talk about feeling your chi or feeling your energy. I talk about noticing the sensations that you feel inside your body. And when you have that sensation is what guides your practice. And the more sensitive a person becomes, the less they need specific guidance. You follow that particular sensation in the direction of increase. You increase and cultivate that sensation. I think one of the best definitions that I've heard, and that I kind of subscribe to, is it's not a type of energy explicitly, but it's a sensation. Qi is the circulating sensation of finesse within the body. It's the sensation of finesse, of smoothness, of ease and grace. So if whatever you're doing, if you're experiencing that sensation of finesse, of ease and grace and smoothness, then you're feeling your chi. And it's something that once you recognize it, it's very clearly there. And you're either, if something you're doing is working and you're feeling that, and then you're great, you're on track. But if something you're trying to do is not working, and you check in with that sensation, I'm not feeling my chi. I'm not feeling the sensation of finesse and ease and grace and smoothness. So first, how do I tap into that sensation? Usually, relax, take a breath, enliven your senses, feel everything that's going on inside your body, tap into that sensation, and then let that sensation be your guide as you do whatever it is that you're doing, and make sure that you hold on to that sensation and keep it in your awareness. And that's how you'll be doing whatever you can do as well as you can possibly do it at that time. Surely you'll be able to develop more skill and get better at it with practice, but you'll be doing the best at that thing that you can be doing right now.
All right, man. Well, thanks for the talk. Pretty cool.
Yeah. So if you haven't felt your chi, don't worry about it. It's it happens when it happens, and it's not the main focus of practice. It's not the most important thing. The most important thing is breathing, relaxing, and paying attention to your experience in the present moment, or just mindfulness, just experiencing what you're experiencing. That's how you practice correctly at whatever stage you're at.
Yeah, in Qigong, they don't tell you anything about energy. They just say, just do these breathing exercises, just do these movements, make the breath and the movement line up. And then they say, no, the rest is yours. And then you have your own experience of what this Qigong really is, what this energy work really is. They try not to, my teachers never really explained it to me. They just said, it is what it is, and you'll feel it when you feel it. So don't come asking me to tell you what you're going to feel.
Right. Yeah, it can very easily become a more of a very intellectual kind of exercise, and trying to figure something out rather than a kinesthetic experiential
exercise. Meditation. You'll find it in meditation. Don't worry. Just it takes time. That's how I kind of tell people. You'll find it.
And on a very related kind of thing that people often do is certain kinds of exercises you can do to sort of feel some kind of sensation, or like where you do some qigong and you bring your hands together and bring them apart, and you sort of feel the sensation. That also is it's not really good. It's not really bad. But it doesn't. It might. It's kind of a gee whiz thing. It doesn't really move you along the path. It might kind of pique your curiosity a little bit, but it's also I really don't consider it to be that helpful or relevant. I don't usually have people do that sort of thing to sort of stimulate their energy field so they can feel it, because what's primary to me is the sensation that you feel inside your body. It's what you're actually feeling inside your body more so than what you're feeling outside. So the internal sensations are the most productive place to keep your focus during your practice.
All right, Dane. Well, I guess it's time for the end of the show. This has been Martial Energetics and Chai Tea Tai Chi. Thanks for the explanation of can you practice martial energetics if you don't believe in energy. All right, have a good night, Dane.
Thanks a bunch. I look forward to talking to you again soon, Andrew.
All right, talk to you later.
Have a good one.